Hello students, have your seats. Today, this is the second session of conservation of plants and animals of your 7th chapter of science. In last session, we have discussed regarding flora, fauna, biodiversity, mega diversity nations, hotspots, etc. Now in this session, we have to discuss regarding endemic species, exotic species, and what are the threats to the biodiversity. And thereafter we will discuss regarding what are the needs to conserve biodiversity. Firstly, I would like to revise the certain terms of last session so that you students can understand this session properly. You know, all the plants found on this planet, our Earth, together called as flora. Similarly, all types of animals and organisms found on this planet, our Earth, together called as fauna. And all flora and fauna together called as biodiversity. This term biodiversity was first time coined by a scientist, Edward Wilson. As in last session I have already informed you students. This scientist, Edward Wilson, also defined this term in concise way. Again, I am repeating the definition of biodiversity. All flora and fauna found in this planet in a particular area together called as biodiversity. In last session, we have also discussed regarding global biodiversity. As I told you that time, that approximately 1.75 million various type of plants, animals and organisms together are found on this land, on this earth, on this planet. They are together considered as global biodiversity. In last session, we have also discussed regarding mega biodiversity nations. Again, I am repeating this term, this information to you students. The nations which are rich in plant and animal species are considered and designated as mega biodiversity nations. Still, all over the world, 12 nations are identified as mega biodiversity nations. Among them, India is one of the mega biodiversity nations. Some nations are Brazil, Colombia, Mexico, Indonesia, Philippines, China and Australia. That time we have already discussed regarding hotspot. Again I am repeating hotspots. Listen students carefully. Hotspots are those regions of the mega biodiversity nations where certain type of endemic species of the plants and animals are found. Still, all over the world, 25 hotspots are identified. Among them, India has 2 hotspots. That means two regions of India are considered as hot spots, and those regions are among the 25 hottest spots of biodiversity or global biodiversity. In India, Western Ghats and Eastern Himalayas are the two regions which are identified as hot spots. Now, just we took a term endemic species in term of hot spots. Here we will discuss what are the endemic species. Listen, students, the species which are exclusively found in a particular area or regions are called as endemic species. Normally, they are not found in other area. Endemic species are defined in terms of state, regions, area, and may be defined in terms of country also. Here we will discuss certain fauna and flora of endemic species. In India, Asiatic lions are endemic species of Gir forest of Gujarat state. Asiatic lions are also called as Babbar Sher. They are exclusively found in Gir forest of Gujarat. So, they are endemic for Gir forest of Gujarat states. Similarly, Himalayan weasels are the endemic for Himalayan region. Snow leopards are endemic for Himalayan regions from Kashmir to Sikkim. Likewise, the Indian giant squirrels and flying squirrels are endemic fauna of Panchmari biosphere reserves. Now we will discuss certain endemic species of flora. Wild mango trees and salt trees are endemic species of flora for the Panchmari biosphere also. In context of endemic species, here we will also discuss a term here, that is exotic species. See here, exotic species. Listen, students, carefully. I am defining what are the exotic species. The species of flora and fauna which are introduced in new area from other area are called as exotic species of flora and fauna for that new area. Here we will discuss certain examples of exotic species. Asiatic carp is the species of fishes which native place is normally China and Eastern Russia. Some time back from there, they were introduced in North America and certain part of Europe. Just after introducing there, they become invasive. Invasive means due to their activities, certain native species of the fishes started getting eliminated and certain got extinct. Because this species of the Asiatic carp have great appetite and they increase their number rapidly, and due to these reasons they caused extinction of certain local or native species which were found in North America and certain part of Europe where they were introduced. Thus, in other words, we may tell here that certain type of exotic species are normally become invasive. They are called as invasive species also. Similarly, you see here a type of vegetation, vine, namely kuds vines. Their native place is Eastern Russia, certain part of Russia they used to be normally found. There they are normally used as garden plant, ornamental plants, and certain local people used to eat this vegetation. Once this vegetation, this vine, kuds, was introduced in North America, there, just similar to the Asiatic cow, this vegetation became invasive and caused extinction for the certain local vegetation, local plants. Due to their very aggressive growth, you can imagine how they are aggressive in growth. They increase their branches and twigs very rapidly. Rate of their growth is 26 centimeters per day. It is too much. And due to this aggressive growth, they become cause for the extinction of certain plants and vegetation of the North America. Now one more example we will see here, that is Indian small mangoes. Once very long ago, Indian small mangoes were introduced in Fiji to get rid of menace of rodents there. In the course of time, Indian small mangoes started eating eggs of a certain type of bird species found there at that time, namely bar-winged rail, and due to aggressively eating the eggs of bar-winged rail bird by the small mangoes by the Indian small mangoes, this species of bird which were found in Fiji that time got extinct. Thus here we are finding that generally the exotic species are invasive in nature. They used to cause extinction of the local and native species of flora and fauna. So they are also called as invasive species. Now we will discuss regarding what are the threats to the biodiversity. Listen, student, here. Due to increase of human population day by day, in other words, we may tell that due to explosion in human population, the requirement of human being is increasing day by day also. Human beings have number of requirement in terms of their increasing population, such as the human population require more land for agriculture, to construct buildings, to set up factories, to construct dam, bridges to expand the cities and towns. These are the requirements. These are the human requirements. The human beings day by day cutting the forest and trees. And by this way, day by day, the forest and trees and vegetations are getting depleted and reduced. And ultimately, the habitats of the various type of flora and fauna are endangered, are getting endangered, are getting threatened. Thus, here we are finding the human activities is the main reason for the threat to the biodiversity. Because due to human activities, day by day, the various type of habitats of the wildlife are getting depleted and reduced, and due to that reason, the entire biodiversity is in danger. So this is the first reason of the threat to the biodiversity. Now, the second reason is deforestation and overgrazing. Just I told you that due to overpopulation or increasement of the human population, the human beings are cutting forest day by day. So this is one of the reason, main reason for deforestation. There are certain other reasons like natural calamities which are also causing deforestation, such as flood, drought, certain plant diseases, volcanoes, earthquake. These are the natural reasons, natural calamities which are also causing deforestation and damaging and depleting the various type of habitats of the wildlife. And second part of this reason is overgrazing. As the human populations is day by day increasing, so it is quite natural that the number of domestic animals like sheep, cows, buffaloes are also increasing. And due to the over increasing populations of domestic cattle, domestic animals, the grasslands are getting depleted and damaged due to reasons of overgrazing by those cattle. And by this way, the various grasslands, those are also habitats for the wildlife, wild animals and various type of flora also are in danger. And thus deforestation and overgrazings are one of the reasons of the threat to the biodiversity. Now third reason of threat to the biodiversity is pollution. Just I told you that human populations is increasing day by day, and it is quite natural that with the increasement of human populations, the number of factories, the number of automobiles, vehicles are increasing, and to meet their agriculture requirement, the human beings, the farmers are using pesticides, and fertilizers and various type of chemicals in agriculture sectors. And these are the reasons by which the air and waters are getting polluted. And due to air and water pollution, consequently, the certain weak and susceptible species of flora and fauna are eliminated and certain are endangered, and thus the pollution is one of the reasons for the threat to the biodiversity. The fourth reason is introductions of exotic species. Just I explained regarding exotic species. Generally, exotic species are invasive in nature. Whenever they are introduced in certain new area, they become cause of the extinction of certain local and native species. So, in that context, exotic species are also one of the reasons for the threat of biodiversity. The fifth factor is climatic changes. Due to various type of human activities, the temperature and rainfall patterns of the atmosphere are getting changed, and consequently the certain natural calamities, mishappenings are occurring day by day, such as drought, desertifications, and global warmings. These are the consequences of the human activities. These are the consequences of temperature and rainfall pattern changes. Where their drought and weather is getting dry, their desertifications that takes place, number of vegetations and entire the vegetation lands is getting converted into deserts. Their landslides are causing, and consequently they are damaging the biodiversity of that area where drought is caused. Similarly, due to global warming, glaciers are melting frequently and causing flood all over the world, and they are major threat to the biodiversity. Sixth is human greed. For money, the human beings are killing and poaching the certain species of wild animal such as tiger, bear, elephants, crocodiles for international trade, and thus the human greed is causing threat to the biodiversity, and due to this reason the certain species of animals like tiger, bears, elephants, crocodiles are in endangered categories. They are at the verge of extinction. So this is also one of the main factors of the threat to the biodiversity. Now we will discuss regarding what are the needs for conservation of biodiversity. This information is very important because this chapter relates to this subject, conservation of plants and animals. So try to understand the students here. Biodiversity maintains the balance, the entire ecosystem. All the components of the ecosystem or nature or biodiversity are interdependent. That means all components, whether they are of flora and fauna, are interdependent, interrelated. If any damage to the component of the ecosystem or biodiversity is caused, then entire support system gets endangered or gets threatened. As the human beings are also one of the component of ecosystem or biodiversity or nature. So ultimately, due to the depletion, due to the damage to other component of the ecosystem, human beings also get threatened. The life of the human beings also get threatened. So it is quite essential to save the other component of the biodiversity and maintain the balance of the biodiversity so that life of the human being can be saved. Now, second need is that entire human world is getting number of types of products from wildlife. If the certain species of flora and fauna are getting extinct or reduced, their number is reduced, in that case ultimately human being will get affected. So it is quite essential in the welfare of the human world, human society, to conserve the biodiversity all over the world. Third need is wildlife are quite essential for breeding programs. In various sectors like agriculture, sericulture, apiculture, wildlife, wild species are required for breeding purposes. So, to conserve the biodiversity is essential for the breeding purposes. Fourth, as we know that there are various type of habitats like deserts, ponds, mountain, plain, grassland. These are the habitats where a specific type of flora and fauna are found. If certain habitats are getting damaged, then ultimately the flora and fauna found in that habitats will get damaged, get depleted, and entire balance of biodiversity, entire balance of ecosystem will get endangered, and certain species of flora and fauna will get extinct from this world, this land, and certain will intrude into the categories of endangered and rare species. So it is quite essential to conserve the biodiversities. Now I am concluding this session by this important information. In next session, we will discuss exclusively regarding deforestation. What is deforestation? What are the causes of deforestation? And what are the consequences of deforestation? Thank you very much.